the winner is Kevin Spacey for American Beauty. Kevin Spacey for American Beauty. Jesus. Well, I was supposed to testify today, and now I'm not going to testify today because the government may be shutting down. I didn't know that Charlie Sheen was serving in Congress these days. We only shut down the production if Charlie's on board in my business, but I'm grateful to be here. As Bob Lynch mentioned to you, this is something I've been doing periodically over the years, and I won't keep you long. I just wanted to mention briefly that in the past, there are certain constituencies in Congress who view the arts as a convenient political football for them, and in the past there were controversial grants that gave them some fuel for their arguments back in the 1990s when I was here working with Bob and Nina in the time of Karen Finley and of Mapplethorpe and so forth, and Serrano. And there was some controversy then, but that doesn't exist today. I mean, today, looking for places to cut and coming up with these handy examples like the National Endowment for the Arts is really just laziness as far as I'm concerned. This is something that I firmly believe that many of the people who are supporting these cuts don't really believe in the cuts themselves. They're just speaking from an old, very tired script where they're pretending they don't remember everything that people like Bob and Nina and many of you have taught them about the importance of arts education, not just for our children and for seniors and our communities, but art as seed money for business. Art means big business. I mean, I live in New York City where art is big business. I mean, billions and billions of dollars spent on tickets for theaters and ballets and opera and symphony and everything that goes with that, restaurants, parking, shopping, and what have you. I mean, the theater is, or the arts rather, are big business in New York and elsewhere. But there are places that are not like New York. They don't have wealthy corporations and an abundance of wealthy individuals who will fund these things. They rely on government grants, even modest grants in the neighborhood of $10,000 to complete their work. And I'll give this to you just as a thumbnail. We have a grant for $20,000 that the NEA has given to the Boise Art Museum, which is in Chairman Simpson's district. My eyes are failing me because it's kind of dark in here. Is that how they're saving money too, or they turn their lights down? In Mr. Moran's district in Alexandria, Virginia, they received a $10,000 grant for Empowered Women International, which helps channel the creative talents of low-income immigrant and refugee women into small businesses that create jobs and a new generation of leaders and entrepreneurs in the arts. In Willoughby, Ohio, in Mr. LaTourette's district, they received a $10,000 grant, which made an enormous difference to the Willoughby, Ohio's Fine Arts Association, to Willoughby, Ohio's Fine Arts Association. A grant supported a music enrichment program that provides one-on-one music lessons for middle and secondary school students in the Paynesville School District. And in St. Paul, Minnesota, the Hmong Cultural Center of Minnesota received $10,000 for its program, Art Saves Us. This is located in Mr. McCollum's district in St. Paul. So you can see where, and when I came here, we were talking about similar grants like Cowboy Poetry in Norman, Oklahoma. I mean, one of the greatest moments I've ever had doing this was doing the show with Steve Largent and saying to him, were you aware, Congressman, that the NEA grants paid for the following programs in your district? And literally there's a moment on this television show, he goes, no, I wasn't aware of that. He didn't even know the work that the NEA was doing in his own district. But I think that more importantly, there is, and I always play this card hesitantly because I don't know if it plays very well in this town, but there's a spiritual component to the cultural work that we're asking this government to do. I come from a business where we all know a great secret, and that is that when most people lay dying in their final moment on this earth, they don't think about that fabulous bill their congressman passed for them. They think about that song, they think about that book, they think about that poem, they think about that scene from that movie, they think about that moment that man or woman had in that musical or dramatic play. they think of dance, they think of the arts. The arts are what is under the skin and what is in the soul and in the hearts of people in this country, the preponderance of people in this country. And I think that our society spends shamefully little money on the arts, the government. If it was up to me, they would spend $1 billion on the National Endowment for the Arts. And we would have arts programs funded all over the country in underserved areas. But again, I want to say that the work that's being done by Americans for the Arts to keep this issue in the forefront, because I don't want to go into another tangent here about this being a symptom of something larger in our society, but the minute the NEA, we start going backwards and we get into underfunding or zero funding for the NEA, the minute people start talking to you about that they're all in favor, for example, of you going to see Karen Finley, or they're all in favor of you owning a Maplethorpe, they just don't want the government to pay for it. They just don't think the government should be in the arts business. That should all be privatized. And I remember going to a hearing, and after the hearing, this is why I don't have an Oscar or a Tony, because the idea came to me after the fact, on the way home. I always have my best ideas on the way home from the studio. I turned to this congressman and I said, well, if you don't believe in art and the importance of art, why isn't the Congress saving untold millions, if not billions of dollars, and you conduct your affairs in a brick building out in Virginia somewhere? This building is a work of art. This building is a work of art that was built to make a statement to the American people and to the world about what kind of business we're in this country. And art is part of that business. Art is part of our heritage and our expression. And I think the question, once we get into the question of whose art deserves funding and whose art doesn't, we have a problem. I think the government should be funding the arts. I think the government should be helping the business of the arts. There's a lot of other businesses this country gives money to and supports and props up that our contribution to the arts is minuscule compared to that. And I don't want to demonize those businesses by giving you a litany. I don't think I have to. We all know that millions and millions and billions of dollars goes, perhaps unnecessarily, to prop up companies that are perfectly capable, I'm assuming, of surviving on their own in the marketplace. But the arts cannot. There are parts of this country where the arts cannot survive. I want to repeat that. There are parts of this country, vast parts of this country, where the arts would not survive without the help of the National Endowment for the Arts and the work that's being done by these people and by the work that's being done by some of you who are here to lobby for Arts Advocacy Day. And I wanted to thank Bob Lynch one more time for having me come again this year. And I want to thank Nina Azu one more time for having me here. And I want to say I'm really, really grateful to be doing this with Kevin. That's a great, great thrill for me. And thank you all very much for being here today. Thank you.